Well, the PSM board was conceived after the Texas City and Buncefield disasters in 2004 and 2005. And there was a call from the Health and Safety Executive in the UK that the industry had to do more. There was already a COMA legislation in place to drive companies to a higher level of performance, but the Health and Safety Executive regarded that as being insufficient. As a result of collaboration across the industry between companies, the unions, the trade bodies, the Health and Safety Executive, the board was formed, and one of the key priorities that the board identified was to implement training from top to bottom in the industry, starting with leadership teams and cascading it through to process operators and technicians at the coalface. The purpose of the board has been to create leadership awareness across the high hazard industries in the UK, to recognise the importance of process safety management in the industry, and to actually encourage companies to take on process safety leadership training and cascade it through their organisations.
Well, we worked very closely to develop the PSM standards with the stakeholders who have been involved. The standards aim to equip senior executives, leaders, board members, managers and operators in the process industries with the skills and the understanding that they need to properly manage their process risks. The recently introduced Performance and Recognition Framework provides a mechanism for operators to demonstrate that they're competent in their process safety management, to demonstrate that they're doing it right. Having embedded and implemented and adopted process safety leadership principles is really a very valuable way of doing that. And in turn, adoption of the process safety management training standards and the training that goes with it can form a really important element of an operator's demonstration that they are on the right track.
It's a long process because we have a lot of hearts and minds stuff to do among companies. I think the real challenge is establishing a sense of ownership and a sense of healthy unease right at the top of companies. Process safety is not something that can be completely delegated. It has to be owned and taken seriously by top management. And what helps in that respect is a realisation that if you manage your business safely, you also run a productive, high quality, reliable business. And that's a win-win.
Process safety management is very, very important in the process industries. And having the competence, the understanding and the ability to do that job properly is such an important factor. Competence of all levels in a business, of leaders down to operators, has to be such that they are able to deliver the required risk management in an effective and sustainable way.
Well, I think the businesses which have been committed and successful at implementing the training have undoubtedly raised awareness at the board level or the site leadership level about what process safety management is, how it can be organised within their organisations, and more importantly how they manage and monitor whether they're having a successful process safety management implementation programme. And implementation from a personal point of view is the key to success in this area.
Responsibility for managing major hazard risk of course lies squarely with the site operator, and in simple terms the job of HSE and competent authority inspectors is to check that this is being done. So embedding and implementing and adopting the process safety leadership principles is a very important thing, and we'll be looking closely to see that this is being done. The process safety management training is one element of this, but of course the real proof of the pudding is in what's happening on the ground. Is the training being translated into effective and sustainable management of risk, and that's what we'd be looking for.
The training is primarily targeted at top-tier coma operators, which is the highest hazard level in the UK, as determined by the regulations. That tends to be determined by the stock holding of high hazard chemicals or the nature of the technology that companies operate.
Leadership is vital to process safety managers, as it is vital leadership and culture and the right management to the management of significant hazards in any industry. So the principles of process safety management would quite possibly be equally applicable to other sectors where there are significant hazards and significant risks to be managed.
It is certainly about a cultural shift. I think that the best companies already get it, although even in the best companies there's always room for improvement. But I think there's a need for a real culture change right through organisations, and again for them to realise that managing safely is also managing in a way that's good for business.
Wherever businesses present major hazard risks, and I have to emphasise it's not restricted to complex chemical processes or complex sites. If you've got a process that can present a major hazard risk, that can have a significant effect on workers and people off site, then it's important that you manage those process risks properly, and that applies to smaller sites, to lower tier coma sites, or to sites that just have significant inventories of dangerous substances.
There's a massive amount of work to be done. I think approximately we have 700 top-tier coma sites in the UK. We're currently working with between 200 and 300, so there's still many companies to be engaged.
This is an important next step in the process safety management journey in the UK, because we are looking to the next phase of development. We've concentrated very much on process safety management awareness, but there's much more that we can do to embed a strong framework to improve skills, competence and management of process safety in the UK and make it a more attractive place to do business.
Lower tier coma sites generally still have significant hazards present. They're categorised by the legislation as lower tier sites, but one of my company's lower tier sites, on the face of it, did not present any less of a hazard day to day than our top tier coma site. The advantage of the three process safety management training packages is that they introduce a lot of sensible fundamentals to managing your business and your operating facilities on a day-to-day basis. So I would urge all top tier and lower tier operators to engage with the process safety management programme run by the Skills Academy.
The key message, both to coma and to non-coma sites, is get your people properly trained under properly accredited systems. Use your professional organisations like ICME, use Cogent and its provider network, use the occasions that we have for people to come together and exchange knowledge. So ensure that you establish right throughout your workforce, throughout your colleagues, a real culture that process safety is fundamental.
Come and talk to us. You're operating high hazard sites. Many of you have no formal process safety management structures in place. Your leadership teams, when they meet monthly, are probably not yet measuring process safety management performance indicators. That means that the management teams and the operating teams are doing their utmost day to day, but perhaps not looking at the really important things from a process safety management viewpoint.
Companies that engage third-party contractors need to be absolutely sure that they're doing the right thing to make certain that those contractors know enough about the hazards and the risks so that whatever activity they're undertaking, they can do it properly and safely. And equally, on the contractor side of things, it's absolutely vital that they have enough understanding and awareness of process safety management so that whatever activities they're undertaking, they do not present additional risks to that site. In all sites where there is the potential for major hazards, then the right thing to do is to adopt professional process safety management principles, and one way to get on the track of doing this properly is to adopt the training standards.